So by being here, obviously there will be a recording, which is another reason why I'm muting people in case they don't want to be on this recording. And it will just be me talking for a while. However, there's an opportunity to ask questions that I will be sharing throughout. And what I'm going to do is just keep those up by my side in case there's any questions that come through when it will be useful for me to answer them prior to the end. So on the last one for our younger age group, we had lots of questions about airport transfers. So I will, yeah, crack on with those. So what I'm going to do today is the pre-arrival process, on-site arrival, your summer camp experience, safeguarding and pastoral care, and then how you can get in contact with SBC, and then a Q&A at the end as well, which will be me reading through the questions that have come through. So please scan the conversation. Sorry, scan this QR code. This is our question and answer platform called Slido. So you can get onto Slido either by going to slido.com and typing in the code SBC26. Sorry, I put it wrong there. It's SBC26, not 2026. Or the easiest way is just grab your phone up now on the screen and scan this QR code, and you'll see there's a Q&A tab that you can basically scan, and then you'll be able to ask questions. What I would say is ask questions throughout. If something pops into your head, and I'm going to just scan through them, and if lots of questions come up a few times, we'll answer them very kind of quickly throughout the process. So, yeah, SBC 26 or scan this QR code. I'm just going to give everybody like 30 seconds to do that. And I will also introduce myself. I realize I haven't. So my name is Nick. So I'm the managing director for operations at SBC, and I oversee all of our summer programs. I will be with you for the next 40 minutes or so, just going through some key details for our summer programs this year. So as I was saying, please scan this, and you'll be able to ask questions throughout. As I said in the last one, for the younger students, a lot of questions came through for airport transfers, um, packing lists, etc. So feel free to ask those throughout, and I will hopefully tackle them. So I'm going to start by talking a bit about our programs. Oh, I thought I hit that. So our older students, which is for this webinar. So hopefully, if you're here, you're for one of these three programs. So either our Cambridge program, which starts on the 29th of June, the 13th of July and the 27th of July for 2 week intakes. Our Earlscliffe program, which starts on the 29th of July, the 13th of July, and the 27th of July as well. With actually that one even goes even longer, but I don't know if anyone's here from that final week. And our Oxford College program at Wycliffe and St Cross, which starts on the 6th of July with another intake on the 20th and then the 3rd of August. So these are our programs. So hopefully, if you're here, you're here for one of these three programs. So either our Cambridge program, our Earlscliffe program, or our Oxford College program. So the pre-arrival process really important. This is kind of the process that you should all be in right now. So the first thing, which is the most important, is our student enrollment form. So you should have all received a link to this from our admissions team, and you should be completing this now. We need this completed before your child arrives on site or before you arrive on site if we've got some of the students here. It's so important we get the accurate information for many, many different reasons. Here, you can request your rooming preferences. You can share with us your allergy information. You can share with us your health information. You can share with us your arrival transfer time. And this is also important. Without this information, it is almost impossible for us to provide the best summer experience for you. So please make sure you're filling this in when you get if you haven't done it already after this. So please prioritize this, our student enrollment form. If you haven't received it, then you can go through to the admissions and make sure they send it to you. Do both parents already got a question about the enrollment form? No, both parents don't need to sign the letter of consent. Only one parent needs to. We just need one signature for that, but it has to be someone with parental responsibility. So good question. Um, so once you've done your enrollment form, you can also, if you're traveling from a country that requires a visa to enter the United Kingdom, we can support you with that. We have visa letters, and in most cases, they do ensure the student gets approved. This is where we confirm the students coming to SBC for a specific reason, coming for an academic course, staying with us. So if you need that, it should already be in process. But if not, and you do need a visa to enter the UK, please get in touch with us immediately so we can support you with that. Then we have our parent website, which you should already have a link to. It's called our Parent Welcome Pack. And then finally, we'll just send a small email confirming details such as the numbers you need to call each site. And then the final stage is you arrive at your summer camp and everything is ready to go. So I just want to go through the enrollment form, not too much in depth, but a little bit more in depth. So we need all of this information. And again, none of this is just for fun. This is all to provide the best experience for your child throughout the summer. So we need basic information such as contacts. And what's really important is we need emergency contact numbers as well. This is so if anything happens to your child where we need to get in contact with you, we know the best number to call. One of your emergency contacts must be either a parent or a guardian. The second one can be an agent or a kind of sales partner. However, at least one has to be a parent or guardian. This is because in the UK, our safeguarding legislation and our laws effectively stipulate that we cannot really share information, medical information about a child with somebody who does not have legal parental guardianship over that child. So that is why we really need parent information. We also request that one of your contacts does speak English. I'm assuming that everybody joining today, English isn't an issue. I think I speak quite quickly, so I'll try and speak not too quickly, but also hopefully the slides help. So the next bit is medical history. We require a full medical history from your child. Again, the reason is so we can provide the best experience for them on site. We want to make sure we know, let's say they've got diabetes or something. Even if they use an insulin pump, it's still really useful for us to know what symptoms they may have, what additional support we may need to provide. So, really important that we get all of that. SEND and learning support as well. Yeah, absolutely key to provide the best in the lessons for the students. Consent, we ask for consent to first aid and emergency medicine. Obviously, we do need everybody to consent to that in the event there is an emergency for your child. So that is kind of a stipulation of joining the course. But things like filming and photography, you don't have to consent to. We would like you to. We have on-site film crews that do film some of our programs, but you don't have to consent to that if you don't want to. Declaration of information as well. That's just you signing as a parent, which we've already had a question about, that the information is correct. What then happens is SBC requires reviews all forms and we sign them off. So we have an admissions team and a safeguarding support team as well. We'll review everything and tick it off, and then you'll be approved to join the program. Now, in some cases, we do require additional information. So what we may do is call you or ask to set up a chat with you. This isn't necessarily a bad thing. In some cases, if you've said my child has autism or autistic spectrum disorder, we may not have got enough information, so we'll want to have a chat with you. It doesn't mean we will say your child can't come. It just means for us to provide a better experience for your child, we need to have a chat and get some more information. Everything we do is centered around the child's experience or the student's experience. Obviously, they're a little bit older, these guys. Ooh, sorry, I've just had my cat has just jumped up. I'll share the cat if people want to see. I don't know how many cat fans we have here, but I will also now make him go away because he should not be here. Um, cool. So yes, next slide. So check in. All of our programs begin on Mondays. So Mondays, that's the day to join, and students should arrive on the Monday their program begins. Our teaching always begins on the Tuesday. So the Monday isn't lessons, it's arrivals day. What that means is that you don't need to, if you're arriving with a parent, you don't need to stress about being there at like 9 a.m. You can come a bit later. Ideally, for parent arrivals, if you're not booked to transfer with us, we would like you to come from after about 12 p.m. so you can have lunch, get settled. However, I understand some people may have other plans, flown into the UK with your child and need to go somewhere, so they can arrive before 12 p.m. What I would say is just give us information of when your child is coming, if you can, within a time frame. So you may not know I'll be here at 11:23, but if you know, okay, I'm leaving home at this time or I'm leaving my hotel at this time, it takes about 2 hours. Hey, I'll probably get there about 1 p.m., something like that. Really helpful for us to plan staffing, to make sure we've got enough lunches available on the first day, just to make sure your child has, yeah, the best start to their SBC experience. Um, and if you've got a transfer with us, we will book your child onto one of our shared transfer services, either a minibus, a coach, or a taxi, and they will be taken to the site with one of our staff members. So they'll be met at the airport. Typically, we only offer Heathrow. However, we do, in some instances, offer Gatwick, and for our Cambridge site, a couple of students come into Stansted, but mostly it's at Heathrow where we base our team, and I think actually St Pancras as well, on the odd occasion. So yeah, that's check-in. Um, Check-out is the same, basically the other way around. So the Monday they leave, the students will depart. They have to exit their rooms by 9 a.m. I know this is super early, but please understand these are not hotels, they're boarding schools. So the cleaning process is a little bit different. And yeah, students must vacate by 9 a.m. And usually it's because we've got other students coming. So airport transfer departures are available. We would like students to be collected by 12 p.m. on the Monday if you're picking them up or if a guardian or a relative is picking them up. If it's going to be any later, just let us know. We just need to prepare our staffing. All of our staff actually leave the site by 5 p.m. And that's when our site closes or finishes, unless there's another run of students. But yeah, 12 p.m. is a good time to aim for checkout day. So upon arrival, this is really important. SBC actually collects all medication and valuables on arrival. We also collect over-the-counter medication and any vitamins or supplements that your child may be taking. I know some people take like B12, vitamin D, especially in the UK where it's not very sunny. So yes, just to let you know, anything your child is planning on bringing with them needs to be declared in the pre-arrival form. Now, if you've already done your form, but your child has got, say, an infection and needs to take antibiotics, absolutely fine. You just need to inform us. So, really important to inform us of your child's medicine they're bringing, um, yeah. If we haven't been pre-warned about medicine, we actually cannot accept it. What that means is that we will have to call you or another emergency contact and get confirmation verbally and then in writing that this child is allowed to have this medicine. And even then, we cannot let medicine stay with the child. So please just let us know in advance. It's absolutely fine. We can cater to almost all medicines. We have staff who are trained in the handling of medicine. We have access to nurses. However, just please let us know. It makes it so much easier for us. So, SBC will check your enrollment form details when the child arrives. We'll check things like emergency numbers. So we'll say, your mum said this is her number. Is that right? Things like that, just to make sure we're all on the same page and we've got the best ways to keep your child safe during their time with us. And then they will meet our on-site management team. And on the first day as well, we will have a an induction talk with what we call our college principals or our summer school directors. So you know the rules, you know what's coming up over the next couple of weeks. So let's talk about your summer camp. So this is the three courses we're talking about here, Cambridge, Earlscliffe, and Oxford College. So they're all actually somewhat similar, but they have slightly different hours of teaching. So both Cambridge and Earlscliffe, they do 20 hours of teaching a week, and that's usually structured with 5 days of 4 hours of teaching. So they'll do like 4 hours of teaching in the morning from like 9 till 1, and then they'll have lunch. And then in Earlscliffe, it's a little bit more focused around like speaking, debating. But both of those courses are basically project-based learning where they do things like um, creating different projects in a small group and presenting and getting feedback. The subjects are up there. So Cambridge is English, Art, Business, Medicine, Psychology, and Science. Earlscliffe is English, Business, Science, which is called Sustainable Futures there, I think, and Leadership. Oxford College, a little bit different. It's our site with the most independence. It has 25 hours a week. It's really focused on that pre-university experience. We base it at Wycliffe Hall, which is a constituent college of Oxford College, sorry, the University of Oxford, and St Cross, which is one of the colleges. and it effectively runs a little bit more like a university pre-course. So they do things like lectures, university seminars, university societies, small group teaching, and the subjects covered there are leadership, medicine, business, and law. All of these courses, your child has a dedicated subject teacher, and that will be the same person throughout the 2 weeks that they are with us. I just want to go through the two kind of main differences. So Oxford College and Cambridge have a somewhat similar structure. Both of these courses have a lot of free time, which I'm going to come on to later. But typically, our courses we have a wake up and breakfast about 7:30, so it's an early start at SBC. And yeah, if your child is asleep, we're hoping at this age they'll be able to get themselves up, set an alarm. But if your child is asleep, our staff will help get them up. At these sites, we have either a house lead or we have what's called a college dean, who is responsible for supporting your child overnight. Um, we then have a morning assembly, which is a short walk. Sometimes in our Oxford site and our Cambridge site, we want it to feel like a real university. So students sleep in a different building to where they have the lessons, which is very typical of a British university, where you have kind of, yeah, remote learning. Remote learning, that's not the right term, but you learn elsewhere to where you sleep. We then have academic lessons. We then have our project preparation, and then lunch at Oxford, you get free time over lunch. At Cambridge and Earlscliffe, you have lunch in the canteen at the school. Then, what's different about Oxford and Cambridge is that in the afternoons, you get about an hour and a half's free time. And that is something I'll come back to, but that's free time where there's no structured activities. Um, all the courses have evening activities, they're mandatory. I know some of you may be thinking I'm 16, 17, but you're never too old for structured fun. So we will make sure that yeah, everybody is going to be enjoying those. And then yeah, lights out is about 10. Obviously, if it's just slightly older, you might be thinking 10's really early for bed. It's not bedtime, but you have to be back in your rooms by 10 p.m. Um, oh, sorry, something I should have touched on the transfers arrivals. I'll come back to that at the end, actually. Earlscliffe is a little bit different because it's slightly more remote. It's in the countryside, it's by the seaside. There's a bit less free time, but they do still get some downtime in houses without structured activities, and they can just rest and kind of spend time with each other, getting to know each other, which is really nice. What else is included? Well, all of our programs actually have the full day excursions to the local area and to landmarks around the UK. We have activities in our programs, as I've said, evening activities, some weekend activities, some sports activities, and craft activities. At Oxford College, this is replaced by free time. However, there are still activities going on. All meals are included for your child's stay, regardless of where they're staying. All meals are included. Typically, they're provided on site. The only exception is Oxford College, where for lunch the students get their own gift cards to this amazing local deli, which is really nice. I've actually ordered myself a gift card as well because I'll be up there. So really nice lunch options at all the sites. And I was saying to the previous group, but obviously this food is, I think, really good quality. However, they are British boarding schools. So I think in terms of expectations around the food, just be prepared that it is British boarding school standard food. Now, these are among the best British boarding schools in the country. So it is nice, but kind of adjusting to British food can be a bit of a challenge for people that come from places where the food is typically nicer. Um, we have some extras as well that you can actually purchase at our sites if you haven't already. Just to go through some of them, we've got paintballing at Earlscliffe, which is really fun. We've got Oxbridge application consultation at Cambridge. So if your child is actually interested in studying at Oxford or Cambridge, we can do at the universities. We can do a private consultation with them with a Oxbridge admissions expert. And we've also got rowing at Cambridge, which is really fun. That's the first year we're offering this. So if any of these sound cool, you can book these through our admissions team. Mm, mm, mm. So yes, coming back to this free time. So with our older age students, our college students, they get time to explore the local area. It's usually between lessons and evening activities. However, students can never leave campus by themselves. It's always in a minimum of groups of three. So we want students to be safe and they have to sign out with friends. So this is a safety measure, really, to make sure that students are with each other, not by themselves. So they can sign out in groups of threes and then they sign out and they sign back in when they come back so that we have a very clear idea of who is on site. Before they go, we do interrogate them a little bit because we want to know where they're going, what their plans are, if they know what their plans are. So we'll always say, okay, where are you going? Perfect. How long do you think you'll be? What's the purpose of going there? It does sound a little bit mean, but it really is just to ensure that they have thought about where they're going, they know where they're going, and we'll always check before they leave. Do they have a device on them where they can call? And do they have their lanyards, which I'll come back to in a minute? Which I'll come back to very shortly. So I just want to touch on the support for your child. Even though your students are teenagers, you know, they're getting ready for university, the adult world, keeping them safe is our biggest priority. And we make sure that we have a summer school director who is responsible for the management of the site. And they oversee all the students in residence. So that's someone that you can contact. That's someone that the students will know as well who is responsible for looking after them. And at our college sites, we are very, very lucky. At our Earlscliffe site, we have Sarah, who has worked with Earlscliffe for 15 years, I think even longer, even before it was a school. She was working with the Earlscliffe summer camps. We have Tom, who's worked with us for about 7 years, and Andras at Oxford, who's also worked with us for many years as an academic and course lead. So they will always have someone they manage that is specifically dedicated to looking after student welfare. And that can be for things like any mental health issues, any anxiety you might be having, any issues with other students, if there's some kind of clashes of opinion. So really important to know who those people are. And each site, as I said, will have a dedicated summer school director and somebody taking on a welfare role. It might not be called the welfare manager, but it will be something similar. Each house then has someone assigned to it that is kind of the responsible person for that house, and your student will be assigned to a house. At Earlscliffe, we call them house leads. At Cambridge and Oxford, we call them college deans, which is a bit fancier. And there's usually one per house. So that's someone that your child will know overnight. If something happens, I'll be able to speak to this person. And then finally, we've got activity leaders or college mentors, and they support your kids through the activities and excursions, and they also run the evening activities. So there are loads of staff at SBC, even when there's more free time, just to make sure that your student is having the best kind of time that they absolutely can. Perfect. So, question about lunch at Oxford. Lunch is included at Oxford College, but because this is our oldest site, we actually give them vouchers to a fantastic local deli, which is called Taylor's of Oxford. The students get an amount to spend each day on this, which will cover the cost of like a meal deal, which is a bit better than a Tesco one. Also, meal deals are a core part of British culture. So very lucky that the students are getting to experience this at Oxford College. Um, Perfect. So, yes, and we also have a head office safeguarding team. So SBC has a full-time DSL. Her name is Jess. She works with the full-time team. She's also been a site lead. She's also been a house parent. She's been a welfare manager. She's worked with us for many years, and she works in our full-time team. We then have two deputy DSLs who support her when she's off duty to make sure we have 24/7 coverage with our safeguarding. The DSL or a deputy can be contacted by staff or students up 24 hours a day. If there's a safeguarding emergency, we do not want any delay. We will be there to support your child. I just want to go through the code of conduct as well. So this is shared, I believe, in the parent arrival, but if not, I'm going through it now. So students must attend registration point at every point as required by SBC staff. Yes, we want to give your students a bit more freedom as they're slightly older. However, we need to make sure they're safe. So we will register them into free time, out of free time, into lessons, out of lessons, into activities, out of activities. So you can't miss the registration points because otherwise we'll be straight on the phone to the parents and yourselves. So make sure you register. That's the most important thing this summer. We take a zero tolerance approach to smoking, vaping, alcohol, and illegal substances. Um, Obviously, in some countries, the drinking and smoking ages are different. However, in the UK, they are 18. So we cannot endorse or allow any students under 18 to smoke, to vape, to ingest alcohol. This would be something we would actually meet as thresholds for removal on a first offence. So if we suspect you and have evidence of you smoking or drinking, we will have to remove you from the program. So I mentioned this earlier, but we have lanyards. So we have SBC lanyards that are worn by the students throughout. And on them, there's an emergency number that your child can call if they get lost, if they get into a difficult situation. Also, it's on there because say something awful happens and they lose their phone, they can, use a friend's phone to call it. So really important. We'll probably recommend to all the students they add the number to their phones, but they have to keep it on them as well. So these lanyards, they have to be worn at all times. That's one of our key rules. Bedroom etiquette. So it varies from site to site. Our Earlscliffe site is usually shared rooms between two, and some are three. Our Oxford College site is usually shared rooms between two, and our Cambridge site is, I believe, all single ensuite rooms. So different site to site, but the same thing across all of them is you need to try and keep your bedrooms tidy and clean. We have cleaners, they change the bedding, but they need it to be a little bit tidy. If there's like clothes, mess everywhere, they're probably not going to change your bed. So make sure your rooms are tidy, and you cannot go into any other student's room. That is a non-negotiable rule for us. You cannot go into any student's room. We have loads of common spaces, so if you want to hang out in the free time, there's common rooms in all the halls, so absolutely lovely, really, really nice. At Cambridge and Earlscliffe, they're all like quite newly refurbished, I think, so they look really good. Another thing is just respect. That's a core tenet of SBC. So make sure that you are respecting each other, your staff surroundings, and our code of conduct, which is this. And then discriminatory language. Any instances of discriminatory language, so racist, misogynistic, any other problematic language, will be met with a final warning. So that means if you do this once, there'll be a final warning. We will call your parents. We will inform them you're on a final warning. And if it happens again, you'll be removed from the program. You won't get your completion. You won't get to finish the program with all your friends. So we don't want that to happen. So just remember these rules. And as I said, we do have warnings, they escalate to final warnings, and then the threshold for removal. And all removal decisions are made with the site and myself. So I know I hope I seem friendly now, but if you meet removal, I will not be friendly. I'll be very upset with you. So make sure you don't get there and just make sure you follow these rules. Really important. Medication and illnesses. So SBC cannot prescribe any medication. Over-the-counter medication can only be purchased and taken when a parent agrees to it. So with written consent. So either in your enrollment form, or let's say your child has some issues while they're with us, like some pains, then you can get in touch with us as the parent and say, my child needs paracetamol. With this age group, we're also happy for them to say, I need paracetamol, me to say, I need to speak to your mum, call them, speak on the phone. Okay, fine. Yeah, you can have the paracetamol. So if a student is ill, we will obviously let you know at the earliest possible instance. However, we have an on-site team who will support. We also have access to nurses on call. We can then call 111, which is the non-emergency medical number in the UK. And in an emergency, we will either go to A&E or call 999. We're hoping that is very limited, but we will let you know if that has to happen, of course. But yes, you don't need to worry about healthcare. While in the UK, all the students are insured with us as well. So yeah, that's absolutely fine. I just want to go through our support. So we have a full-time admissions team. They're all here, lovely pictures of them. And they work from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday to Sunday, UK time. So that's really long hours. And I put here that their response time may be slower, but it's actually not. It's very quick throughout Monday to Sunday. But what you need to be aware of is that they will triage response kind of queries. So if your query comes in and it is super, super urgent, we've had an emergency in the family, I need to speak to my child, that will be top priority. If your question is, can I order a fan to the halls? The answer is yes, but they might not answer that one straight away as they're always dealing with the most urgent queries first. We still try and get back to you very quickly. We understand that your child is your priority, and you will, for what might not be an emergency for us, will be an emergency for you and your top priority. So we do treat every request seriously. However, some we have to prioritize for the child's safety, student safety. Um, we also have on-site teams, so all of our sites have a dedicated phone number that parents can contact. That's a really good number for you to have. Students will also have a separate emergency phone number, which I've already talked about, which is on the back of their lanyards. Another reason, just the reason it's so important to wear those lanyards. Um, Parents can contact the site when it's not an emergency. I've been a bit mean on these slides. You can still call the site, but be aware that they are working with children throughout the day. So what may happen is you may get a left message, leave a message, and you may say, "Oh, it's my daughter's birthday. Can I send some money and get her a cake?" Of course, we'd love to do that. But what might be happening is the summer camp director is dealing with an issue with, say, a coach booking, and the students need to get on the coach. They will prioritize that and then come back and say, "Hello, yes, I've called your yeah, thank you for that. I'll or get a cake for your daughter's birthday," things like that. So they will take your request seriously, but it just may take a little while for them to get back to you. Um, Resources for parents. So, as I said, you should have received a parent welcome pack, which is a web link to a website area, which has loads of information about your child's stay and tells you what you need to do before they arrive. This is our SBC head office number. I would add it to your phones now in case you need it over the summer if you haven't already. 01943 Our head office email address, we've got two. Um, so yes, two email addresses, info at summer boarding courses, and then we've got admissions at summer boarding courses, and each site has a specific number. So that will be shared with you prior to your arrival, or when you're arriving on site as well, we'll let you know what it is. So that means you won't have to call head office. If you know it's something you can talk to the people in Cambridge about, you can call them directly. Cool. So, sorry, lots of talking from me, but what I'm going to do now is head over to the Q&A. So as I said, if we go all the way back to the start, there's a Q&A tab, so you can ask your questions here if you haven't had the chance. I've got quite a few through, to be fair. I think I've got about 20. But if you didn't see this at the start, please ask your questions through here, and I'm going to spend the next 10 minutes just going through them. So, first question, will mobile phones be taken away and returned at specific times? Good question. For our older students, we trust them to have their mobile phones with them. They will have free time, so they need to have them when they're out and about. And we do go on excursions to London. However, we do not tolerate students using their phones in classes unless they are allowed to. So if we suspect your child of using their phone during the class, we may take it from them, give it back at the end of course. But we do have safes on site for valuables as well. But just don't use them in classes or activities, but you can have them with you for this age range. Um, Essential things to carry for clothing. Well, yeah, so just to be prepared, the weather in the UK in the summer is a little bit unpredictable. So make sure you do bring a light raincoat as it does rain from time to time. However, it is quite warm at the moment. Today it's 30 degrees, I think. And a couple of weeks ago it was 35 degrees. So make sure you bring clothes appropriate for summer. Make sure you bring like shorts, t-shirts, but also it does get cooler and colder in the evenings. Some of our evening activities are outside, so I'd recommend bringing like long sleeve jumpers, hoodies, as I said, raincoats. Um, yes, iPad or computer. At this age range, I would recommend bringing a laptop if you can. It can help with the classes. It's not necessary though. Sometimes I've said to parents, bring a laptop, and then they're like, I brought a heavy laptop and they didn't need it. It's not necessary, but it can be helpful. iPad, similar, not necessary, but can be helpful. Um, yes. So, will the choice be for a single room separately confirmed? So it depends on the site. Oxford and Earlscliffe have all shared rooms primarily, and Cambridge has all single rooms. So it's effectively based on the site or the course that you've booked. Where will my child wait until 4 p.m. if the rooms aren't ready? Her flight arrives 6:30. So we have two different um, areas. And we also do appreciate that students will be really tired after flying overnight. So at Heathrow, we have what we call our welcome club. where our staff members greet your child, and we take them to this lovely little hotel for a bit, where we have snacks and we have games and we just have an opportunity to get to know each other. Then we get all the students on a coach or a minibus or a taxi to the site. When they arrive on the site, sometimes the rooms are ready earlier. I'm just setting the worst case scenario. So if the room is ready, great, they can go straight there. If not, we will let them sign in, drop their luggage, and then there will be the opportunity to meet with other students, to meet with the activity leaders, to meet with the team. So there'll be lots and lots for your child to do. If you're, what we'll try and do is get the rooms where the children arrive earliest ready first, because yeah, 6:30 till 4 is a long wait. Will someone wait with a name tag at the airport, or do they need to meet in a meeting point or something? Good question. If you've paid for an airport transfer, we assign a member of staff to every single child that's arriving. So there will be someone meeting your child at the arrivals gate of the terminal. So let's say Heathrow Terminal 5, there is only one gate you can come through. There will be someone there with this kind of t-shirt, except I think they're yellow, so I think they're even brighter. And it will say SBC. They'll also have a high-vis jacket on, so your child will be able to see the SBC staff member very easily. Um, yes, really good question. Um, do parents get weekly updates? Yes. So actually, we like to keep you updated, so you don't need to call your students as much. So what we do is we provide the teachers do reports. I think they might get sent to you at the end, but they do track your child's progress. We also have a parent blog and website where we update it 3 times a week with pictures. So that's why if you do consent to photography and filming, that's really helpful because then we can share pictures of your child. It's usually just things like what activities they're doing, what excursions they're doing. We have a dedicated activity leader to take photos of what your child's doing, so you do get updates that way. Will the school provide students with a SIM card? We do have a small selection of SIM cards if your child doesn't have an eSIM or a UK capable SIM, and we can give them to you on arrival. Laundry situation. So laundry is available on all sites. However, I would recommend, because it's only 2 weeks, bring enough clothes for the 2 weeks. But you can do laundry on site. It takes about a day to come back to you. Um, yes, parents can collect students at any time on the Monday. If it's earlier, if you want to pick them up early, that's absolutely fine. Could you let me know how many students are assigned to classes for the summer course? Okay, all of our classes are limited at 15 students. Some of them are less, but 15 is the maximum. So I think it depends on the site. For this year, most of them are around about 15 or lower. Formal clothing for the graduation. So we don't have a dress code, but we do like the students to dress nicely. So what I would say for male students, bring like a shirt and some trousers and some slightly nicer shoes or some plain black like sneakers. For female students, you can decide between like a dress or similarly like a smart shirt and trousers. So that's not really a dress code, but because it's a graduation ceremony and we've booked a nice place for you to do it, and got like a nice dinner involved, really important to make the effort. Um, Pickup point from Heathrow, as I said earlier, it will be the arrivals terminal you come into. We'll then take you to what we call our welcome club, which is the Crown Plaza Hotel in Terminal 4. If you haven't booked a departure transfer but you would like to, you can get in contact with our admissions team and they can book that now. They cost £140. Should we pack towels and bed sheets? Bed sheets, no. The bedding is provided by the schools. It's washed weekly as well, so they change it. Towels, I would say yes. I think you get one or two when you arrive, but I personally I would want more. So do bring some. Um, will everybody be individually picked up at the arrival gates? Yes, everybody's individually picked up. If 2 or 3 students are arriving on the same flight, even if you don't know each other, we'll obviously collect all three together, but there will be someone there to collect your child individually. So the pre-arrival forms should have already been sent to you. So if you haven't received that, please message info at summer boarding courses or admissions at summer boarding courses. It's so important. We can't really welcome your child without having that completed. Are students permitted to switch from rowing to Oxbridge applications? Yes, you can switch. I think they're the same price. Just message our admissions team. I'm happy to sign that off. Cool. And I think that's it for questions. Good job, everyone. So thank you so much for joining today. I know that was a bit of a whistle stop tour, but really, really appreciate everybody for coming. And I will let you all head off now. Any more questions you can ask to admissions at summer boarding courses. And I will look forward to seeing lots of you this summer. I will be hopefully around the site, so maybe get to see some of you if you're dropping your children off. But as I said, the most important thing for now is that you are doing your pre-enrollment forms and your enrollment forms. So thanks so much, everybody. Have a great day, and I'll hopefully see lots of you this summer. Goodbye.